Good morning. As we look through the book of Proverbs today, we're at chapters 10, 11, and 12. And as we began the book of Proverbs, I mentioned that, chapters 1 through 9 are kind of, more lengthy, maybe stories or, several verses put together. But 10, 11, and 12 and a lot of the rest of it, each individual verse is a wisdom saying. And when you put those all together, there's 31 chapters in the book of Proverbs. And so there's a lot of, individual wisdom sayings, and a lot of them tie together. A lot of them are similar, talking about, wisdom, making good decisions, the wicked making bad decisions, and different things, aspects of life. And in my Bible, chapter 10 begins the Proverbs of Solomon. And so a proverb is a wisdom statement. The very first one, a wise child makes a glad father, but a foolish child is a mother's grief. And, mother, father could be turned around in that too. You could say a wise child makes a glad mother, and a foolish child is a father's grief. As parents, we rejoice when our children make good decisions and when they do foolish things, and so that's, it's very true. Treasures gained by wickedness do not profit, but righteousness delivers from death. And the trust, the belief was that, when you had a right relationship with God, you were rewarded with longer life and a lot of differences that way. And it's just like verse 3, the Lord does not let the righteous go hungry, but thwarts the cravings of the wicked. So the righteous, the good, would have more, and the wicked would have less. And we know that that's not always true today. Number 9, verse 9, whoever walks in integrity walks securely, but whoever follows perverse ways will be found out. When you live a life that is upright and faithful to God and true, when you're true to your word, and when you act in good manners and good faith toward others, it's good. And integrity, another definition of that is doing the right thing even when no one is watching, and to be a person of integrity means that you do this, you live the same if you're by yourself or if you're in a crowd. And sometimes when we're in a crowd, we get kind of swayed one way or the other. But to have integrity, we know who we are and what we believe, and we stand for that in all circumstances. Verse 12, hatred stirs up strife, but love covers all offenses. And when I read that, I thought of, the movie Love Story. And the comment in there that, love means never having to say you're sorry. And we know that that's, that's just not true. When, love will forgive more, maybe, but it's still, we need to have remorse. We need to come with that, but the hatred stirs up strife. When we speak bad of others, and that's one of the things, I see so much on Facebook, every time there's an election of hate mongering, hatred stirs up strife. Let's focus on some good. Let's focus on some positive. Let's, and it is so much easier to live, so much more enjoyable to live when we have a more of a positive outlook on life and are feel loving and forgiving. It's like the forgiving people and loving, and that your love covers all offenses. Well, yeah, but we got to be so careful with it. But hatred, this hatred and the picking up on every little detail and highlighting it, it just doesn't do any good, and it especially really, does it change anybody's mind to show all that negativity and hatred that goes around? So Hatred stirs up strife, no question about that. Verse 14, the wise lay up knowledge, but the babbling of a fool brings ruin near. And, you know, yeah, sometimes, you know, when people, you say they don't have they have no idea what they're talking about, you know, and, you know, they go on and on and on, but there's no substance to what they have to say. And, you know, it's just, that's the way it is. Verse 15, the wealth of the rich is their fortress. The poverty of the poor is their ruin. We need to find a balance. I mean, being wealthy is not a crime. There's nothing wrong with having material possessions, having money. We all know that, to work for it and to take care of what we have. And sometimes, you know, like the poverty of the poor is their ruin. If they have nothing, how do they, you know, pull themselves up by their bootstraps, so to say? We need to work together in a lot more of these instances. Verse 26, like vinegar to the teeth and smoke to the eyes, so are the lazy to their employers. Yeah, you know, if you got somebody that, you know, you're paying and they just don't do anything, or they do things wrong, or they continually make mistakes, and, you know, it's just, you know, they're just, you know, like vinegar to the teeth and smoke to the eyes. They're irritating, you know, and it's just, it's a lazy employee. I mean, they irritate you. They're not beneficial. And so it's that little analogy there. I kind of like that. You know, lazy people to their employers are irritating, you know. And as an employee, we owe it to our employer to give them the value of our wages. And as an employer, they owe it to the employee to value their employment enough to pay them a living and good wage as well. So it's, you know, all of those things come in there. The first verse of chapter 11, a false balance is an abomination to the Lord, but an accurate weight is his delight. And we all know of stories of the grocer's scales that aren't accurate, and we hear stories of, you know, people padding, you know, the scale somehow or other, you know, either making it weigh less when it's, you know, when it should weigh, you know, the cheating on the scales. And there's a little deal I've seen on a computer that, you know, this lady's holding a scale and she's putting things into it, and the man buying is taking some out and putting in his pocket, and, you know, there's cheating going on. And then as they get to the right weight in the scale, the man holds his bag up, and as the lady is pouring these then into the bag, she makes sure that some miss the bag. So there's cheating going on both ways. And, you know, it's not right. You know, to be honest, a false balance is an abomination to the Lord, but an accurate weight is a delight. It's just, you know, being honest in all your activities and how you treat others. And it's that integrity word coming back again, to do the right thing. Verse 13, chapter 11, a gossip goes about telling secrets, but one who is trustworthy in spirit keeps confidence. You know, and we all know people that, you know, tell stories behind their backs, behind others' backs. And another thing I see is that, you know, if you're sitting at a table and everybody there is talking about other people and maybe saying bad things about them, when you leave, who are they going to talk about? Maybe about you. And so, you know, to be careful in what we say about others, and to make sure it's true, you know, and not just to tell stories, but, you know, one who is trustworthy in spirit keeps a confidence. And I remember, you know, sharing with a person one time something, and that person went out and told. And, you know, that breaking confidence. I mean, you know, as a pastor, I am expected to keep confidence of things. And if someone asks me, don't tell anybody this, I'm not going to tell them. And, you know, sometimes that, you know, you might get into trouble with somebody that thinks, well, you should have told me that. No, if I was asked not to, you mean, you know, this is the way it should be, trustworthy in giving your word. Verse 14, where there is no guidance, a nation falls, but in an abundance of counselors, there's safety. And this is the idea of our founding fathers with our Congress, with the House of Representatives, the Senate, and the president. You know, you got three branches there, and, you know, and the court system. And, you know, to make sure that we aren't dictated to. But yet we find so many times that power is abused. Verse 17, those who are kind reward themselves, but the cruel do themselves harm. A couple of them quick in chapter 12, verse 11. Those who till the land will have plenty of food, but those who follow worthless pursuits have no sense. Verse 15, I love it. Fools think their own way is right, but the wise listen to advice. And 17, just to finish up the day, whoever speaks the truth gives honest evidence, but a false witness speaks deceitfully. And, you know, so there's, you know, you take time to read through all of these things and just, you know, underline, mark some of them in your Bible that speak to you, because there are so many of these things that, you know, when you really stop to think about it, and sometimes, you know, as we read in the Bible, we're just kind of reading to hurry up and get through it. But to take time, and, you know, here again today, I'm, you know, not just 10 minutes, and I guess that's always been a guideline to try to stay at that 10 minutes. But take a little time to really think about some of these Proverbs of Solomon.